Alright, so I got here gameplay. I beat Deer floor 3 with DIANE, and you can see the team on top here. I'll talk about the team first before we actually start watching the gameplay. I brought the team like this, basically replacing Matrona with DIANE, and I thought, oh, you know, that they're gonna be similar. They're both taunt characters. Biggest difference is DIANE is providing damage reduction, and she hits harder, obviously. She hits much harder because of her passive. So I was thinking, you know, I'm not going to have passive healing. So instead of bringing Green Arthur, which I would usually bring, or Green Galfer, I'm going to bring Brainhilder, because Brainhilder has her ult heal. And thank God I did, because DIANE does have an ult heal as well. Her ult... it has healing, like it has, but I have her 6-6, and even at 6-6, which I cannot expect you guys to have her 6-6, she doesn't full heal your team or anything like that, and pushing ults in this stage can be a little tricky, because of how you have to order your cards. So, you know, you're gonna need an extra healer if you're gonna use DIANE. So I brought Brynhilder. Brynhilder worked her job quite well. Although I would prefer, honestly, having Green Arthur or even Green Galfer, which I don't like using Green Galfer. I've used Green Galfer to beat the stage. It's just very finicky, and this applies to DIANE as well, so is Matrona. I really want a replacement for Matrona. Matrona is a pain in my ass every time I'm trying to beat this stage. Every single time Matrona's a pain in my ass. You know why? Because no matter how good her healing is and her 3-turn taunt, having only one attack card is terrible, because you end up in situations where you're like, okay, please game, please, you're gonna give me the attack card I need, right? And the game doesn't give it to you. Then you lose your run, you lose like 20 plus minutes because you just didn't get the card that you needed. And DIANE obviously falls through that same category of characters that only have one attack card. And I don't even know when we're gonna have a proper team that can actually beat this consistently that doesn't have Meliodas. Because you can beat the stage without Meliodas. I'm not saying you can't. You can. But God, I'm gonna tell you, it's so much harder. Like, the damage reduction from Meliodas is so powerful, and Meliodas is a tool on your team, because he has no, participation on the wheel of typing. So he, although is phenomenal, does so much damage, he cocks your team, right? So you're gonna have, like, two characters that need replacements are Meliodas. We need a better character for the job that Meliodas does, because having a dark type is terrible. And we need a replacement for Matrona. So I was thinking maybe DIANE can replace Matrona, because DIANE hits hard. Like, her single target card, if you have her passive going, hits hard. But the issue is, with all the damage reduction that I have, it's very hard to get her passive going. Really, really hard. Like, I have the 50% damage increase, but you can see, like, the rocks. Okay, so a good representation of DIANE's passive is the rocks around her. You can see her rocks are very small. That means that she took, like, no damage throughout the whole thing, because she has, like, 40% damage reduction. Plus 40 when she's taunting. So when she's taunting and receiving like single targets from the stage, she's not taking any damage. And her passive doesn't go because of that. So that's a big issue for DIANE. And she doesn't replace Matrona. I think I would be better off using Matrona, especially on the last stage. I would say maybe there might be because I didn't use the proper team for DIANE. Because maybe if I replaced Brynhilder with someone else, it would be better off. But honestly, I cannot tell you that it would be a good idea to replace Brynhilder, because you need the healing. And there's not many characters that have proper healing that can be used in the stage. Not many, really. So you need the healing. And DIANE doesn't provide any healing. She provides taunt, but it's an inferior taunt to Matrona for two reasons. First, only lasts 2 turns on level 1. Second, it can be removed. There are floors or phases in this stage that removes taunt. Or not taunt specifically, but removes stances. Matrona doesn't have that issue. It's just a stage thing, right? On this stage, they remove stances. So this DIANE has her stance removed a few times. Because I did the several attempts, because when you're doing Deer, you don't just go in the first time and go to level 3 until you beat level 3. You need to go in and see if you got the correct passive. And if you don't have the correct passive, reset. I've had to reset like 7 times or something until I got the correct passive. It's very annoying. Deer is so goddamn annoying. Honestly, if not for the passive thing, because one thing about Bird, right, is that there are passives for the Bird. Like, he has a passive where he just straight up takes less damage. Like, that's annoying. Like, if you can not have that passive, the stage becomes much more enjoyable and easier to beat, right? But it's not so bad to the point where you have to keep resetting the game. You know what I mean, right? Or resetting the stage and go back to floor 1 to redo floor 1 and 2 and then redo floor 1 and 2 until you get the correct passive. On the Deer, it's like if you don't have the passive where he gets extra attack if you don't damage to him, you're gonna have the passive that either he has a revive, which is so dog shit, that's the worst. Or you have a passive where he removes your ultimate gauge every single phase. And it's doable with that one. It's not preferable. It's very annoying. So you're better off resetting until you get the correct passive, which is that if you don't do damage to him, he increases his attack by 50%. I think that's the correct passive. Or increases his damage by 50%. And in this passive, DIANE is horrendous for it compared to Matrona. See, he removed her stance. One big thing about Matrona is that not just she passive heals your team, she lowers ultimate gauge with her ultimate, which DIANE can do with her attack card. Similar case where DIANE has to have like almost max ultimate gauge. Matrona has to have max ultimate gauge because she has to ult, right? One big thing with Matrona is that she removes buffs. On phase 4 of floor 3, having a buff removal can be so clutch. And when we get there, you will see. If I had a buff removal, I wouldn't have to go pray to the gods I had better RJ. See, he just removed her stance again. It came to a point where, I do beat the stage. I do beat floor 3. Spoilers, I guess. But I do beat floor 3. Because I got so lucky. So lucky. You have no idea. When we get there, you're going to see how lucky I got. I got absurd levels of luck. And that's how I beat it, right? It's to the point where this stage is so... I don't want to say bullshit, but it is so bullshit that the only way to beat it is if you have extreme luck, right? Even if you have the best units in the game, you still need extreme luck. So if you don't have the best units in the game, and you have extreme luck, you can almost beat it. It's like, it's so bullshit. It's just so, this stage is something else. Compared to the Bird, like, 'cause one thing about the Bird is that I think the Bird, as a boss, is tougher than this Deer, right? Because with the Bird, I mean, depends on... Nah, this boss is definitely harder in every way, because the Bird, the boss hits you harder, and he has more health, right? But this stage, right... It's just there's so many gimmicks. The gimmicks are what gets you, right? So I need a lot of healing here. I need a lot of healing here. So like if I was to depend on Matrona's ultimate, I would go into the floor 3 with my melee basically dead, and he would just be dead from an AoE. That would be it. Because I don't have any passive heal. So I need Brynhilder. Like I really need Brynhilder to give me the ult heal and stuff. I forgot to talk about gears, but gears are, you can tell by the stats obviously, but my DIANE is using HP defense because I thought she needed to tank. Honestly, DIANE takes so little damage, which is so counterproductive to her passive, that you can go with attack for her. Legitimately, you can go with attack. Like she doesn't take damage. Like She has Melly's damage reduction, plus her own damage reduction. Like, she doesn't take damage, and she's never gonna be targeted unless she has a taunt. She won't. She has too much stats. She doesn't take any damage, so she's always gonna have the most HP out of everyone. And her taunt only lasts for 2 turns. Like I said, it's a big up for Matrona. The fact that her taunt lasts for 3 turns, right? DIANE's taunt lasting for 2 turns on level 1, because you're not just gonna wait for a level 2 to last for 3 turns, you know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna do that. It's kind of a waste, because if you do 2 level 1s, then you last for 4 turns in total. It ends up in situations where I know if I had Matrona, my other characters wouldn't be taking as much damage as they were, because I would have had the taunt, you know what I mean? Here you can see DIANE's taking more damage. Like, she's finally taking damage, and I thought maybe because she's taking so much damage, by the time I'm at floor 3, she's gonna have her passive maxed. She didn't, but I'm not gonna lie, there is a moment where DIANE hits very hard with like a level 1 card. So that was quite good. But still, the following turn, no, in the same turn, I was like, I kind of wish I had Matrona, because the boss was gonna put his immunity buff, and I could have just removed it with Matrona, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. In any case, like, the end is not bad. Like, she's definitely usable for the stage, but in this stage, you don't want usable. You want the best, because of how hard the stage is. You don't want a character that is a decent replacement. You want the better one. And the better one is free! Matrona is free! This celebration we're having right now, global players that don't know what celebrations happen in JP, they're like, what do you mean free? The celebration we're having right now in JP, let me tell you a secret. They're giving Matrona for free to everyone. There is a banner. For a free login banner that you get 20 free multis for, right? That has Matrona in the SSR pool. And then at the end, you get Matrona guaranteed for free. And at 1-6, I would say Matrona is better than this DIANE 6-6. Again, that's of my experience so far. Maybe there is a team for this DIANE that's absolutely phenomenal that I don't know yet. We're gonna have to give it a few days, you know what I mean? And here's the biggest gripe I have, right? My team that I used to beat the stage, my favorite team to use is Matrona, Green Arthur, The One, and Meliodas. I saw one person call me stupid for using Green Arthur. If I had Matrona and Green Arthur, Matrona's cards would not be deleted on this phase. On this phase, on his single targets, he deletes cards. The thing is that if you use Matrona, level 3, the 3 turn taunt, level 1, and you have Arthur's damage reduction and Melly's damage reduction, his single targets don't do damage to Matrona because she's so tanky, right? But because we're having the end here, that doesn't increase her defense. She only has damage reduction. She doesn't increase her defense with her taunt. She does take damage, which deletes her cards. So Matrona here, I can actually hold on to an ultimate for Matrona for the 4 phase. I do that. Because I can! Because she doesn't take any damage. But in this phase, the biggest thing about this phase 3, is that he deletes your cards. So you have to work around that, try to beat him as fast as you can. And it gets so annoying where you pull in one turn like 4 cards for your red character. Or for your taunt character. Which, like, it's so hard to get attack cards for taunt characters. Because they only have 1 attack card. And then the goddamn piece of shit deletes them. Again, deleting my attack card. And I have to pray I get another one. This is not my first attempt. On like this floor here. On my previous attempt on floor 3, I had to reset because I didn't get a DIANE attack card because all the attack cards were deleted on phase 3. You know what I mean? Like, every turn that I did get the attack card got deleted, and then when I finally moved to the other stage, I didn't have any. Not a problem with Matrona. It's just simply not a problem with Matrona, at least with my setup with Green Arthur, because she just doesn't take damage. She's so good! Matrona's so good! So good! And she's free now! Okay. I know I'm complaining a lot, but this was my mistake here. I should have ulted with Brynhilder. This right here is a misplay by me. I should have ulted with Brynhilder. I wanted to go with Brynhilder's ult to the next phase, just in case I need a card. But I already had a card. That was a mistake. I should have ulted with Brynhilder so Escanor has more HP for his Flood card, and that will come up when we get to the next phase. That was actually a mistake by me. Could have, now watching it back, I'm like, I should have done that, obviously. When you're playing the game, you don't think like that, right? You can't, like, think, you can't predict the future. If I could, oh my god, so much easier this stage would be, right? Knowing what card I'm pulling next. And so, right here, I had to think what cards I'm going to use. So, thankfully, I had a DIANE card, right? I got one last phase, or last turn, and I killed him before he could delete it. But still, I had to pray the next turn I would get another one, right? Again, this is a problem with Matrona as well. I'm bigging up Matrona, but on this stage, characters that only have one attack card are a hindrance. They are terrible for the stage. They just are. So I really want a replacement for, honestly, Meliodas, because he not, helping with the wheel is very annoying. So I use Brynhilder's ultimate here because he's going to remove my ultimate gauge. He always does. He removes his ultimate. I've seen people not have their ultimate gauge removed in this turn. You gotta be so lucky. I've never had a single time running this stage where he doesn't remove your ultimate gauge in the first turn. I've seen gameplay, but I've never had it happen to myself. I ulted with Brynhilder because I need a Brynhilder card next turn, and he's gonna remove this ultimate. So if I use this one and not the ultimate, then I wouldn't have it. So again, I should have used the ultimate in the previous turn. That was my mistake. So I use my ult from the one, get him low. Obviously, he took off my ultimate gauge, just like I said. Thankfully, thank the Lord, I got a DIANE card, or else I would have reset the game, or I would have gone back to turn 1, phase 1, and tried again. Again, just not DIANE's fault compared to Matrona. Like I'm drawing like a lot of comparisons. Compared to Matrona have the same issue, but here's where Matrona is better. So this turn, I have to kill him. Because I didn't heal Escanor, he has very low HP. His Flood is going to be very weak. DIANE, though, hits very hard. Boom. He should hit 100k on level 1. Compared to Matrona, that's tremendous damage, right? So Brynhilder also hits decently hard because Brynhilder. The one, on the other hand, doesn't hit hard enough. If I had more HP, I could have killed, or if I had crit, right? So one of those two things. If I had crit, that would have been it. So I didn't kill, and if you played the boss, you know, if you drop him below 20, he full heals and you're done. After he full heals, he's a god. So you have to kill him, and you can't drop him below 20%. So I had to restart the game. And you're not going to see it, but I tried every single card combination, because one thing about resetting your game to retry a turn, if you do the same thing over and over and over again, your character will never crit, right? I tried every combination I could. Either I would drop him below 20 before Escanor's attack, or Escanor simply wasn't going to crit. So what I did was I prayed. That's what I did. This right here, right? If I had Matrona, I would be chilling, because I can just do it the next turn. I remove his buff next turn, and we're good. But I don't have a buff removal. So what I did was this. I pushed Melly's ultimate. I didn't do that right there, but I pushed Meliodas' ultimate. I didn't do it right there either. I was thinking of pushing Escanor's ultimate, but I couldn't push Escanor's ultimate without attacking with at least DIANE first, so that I can actually do something to him, because he's going to be immune. If I attacked with DIANE or Brynhilder, he wouldn't take any damage, so the wheel wouldn't continue, which I think it's bullshit. Because EIKTHYRNIR's ultimate bypasses immunity, it's an ultimate. But, so what I was thinking is, I'll go with Melee's ultimate, right? He will remove ult probably next turn. I know he will. I know this stage. So what I was thinking is, what I need... this is like, again, this is like... I don't even know how lucky I got. I don't know what the probabilities are. I need a level 1 single target to be placed after the ultimate. So that when he removes my ultimate gauge, it combines and I get the ultimate back. You know what happens? Do you know what happens? You can guess. You can guess what happened. I got the damn card. So lucky. So lucky. Again, a problem I wouldn't have if I had Matrona. But so lucky. I can't even believe I got it. Obviously, he removed my ultimate gauge because, like I said, he removes your ultimate gauge every single turn. Like, I've seen people not have that happen to me. And I've seen, like, one time, Speedy's first, like, beat of this stage, I was with him, right? I wasn't, like, backseat gaming him, but we were, like, working together because he got a terrible passive for his and he didn't want to reset. He got the passive that removes ultimate gauge. So we were, like, doing that. And he got a turn where the deer didn't remove his ultimate gauge. So he won because of that. He removed my ultimate gauge. My cards combined, I got the ultimate gauge back. So lucky. So lucky. If I needed more passive for Melee, I could have single targeted here, no problems, because he's immune to any damage. So lucky. Like, I don't even know what the odds are of that. And I kill him. A problem I wouldn't have if I had Matrona. Again, by the end here, right? You could see DIANE had a lot of rocks. That's her passive being... I think at this point, she was almost fully built up, right? And we're talking like, this is the hardest boss in the game, and she can't even build up her passive. We're gonna need like a harder stage for her to build up her passive, but if we had a harder stage, then my other characters would take too much damage, you know what I mean? And she's not healing. So that was actually my first time of the week, because... I was actually trying to get a run with Scotty. That was my objective for this week, to get a run with Scotty. I'll still try to do it. Yeah, I think for me Matrona is better, but the end is also decent. It's just, I think if you're gonna use the end, you might as well use Scotty as well. Like, the taunt is good, but it only lasts for 2 turns. If you're gonna use if you're gonna use a character, I would recommend using Matrona, which is free. Matrona's free. Matrona's free. So that's it. That's the end on the deer. Pain and suffering. This was, but yeah, deer is pain and suffering. Even for whales, deer is pain and suffering. It's insane.